Yeah, this is Mike. We got a trap for you today. I've dubbed it the Impellor. Uh, what you're going to need for this trap is 2 medium thickness stakes, nice and stout. That's what you need. Probably about 2 foot long, a little bit longer, it doesn't matter. I have one smaller diameter stake here, or stick. It's gonna have a notch cut into it. This piece broke off, but the notch is still solid, so I kept it. But a little Lincoln log notch. And then in the middle, I just kind of took the bark off and maybe a little bit of wood, and that's where the rope is going to ride. And you would cut this later on when you had it all set up and see where your rope needed to be at. And then I have a spacer stick here, nice and stout. Also needs to be nice and stout. And that one's, a 1.5 foot. That's about how wide I want this windlass to be. And then one long enough to go across that 1.5 foot section, plus a couple of inches. So, and this is going to be smaller, but this is your backstop to keep the animal from getting pushed through the trap. This is going to give it the crushing power, even if it doesn't get impaled. Or even if it does get impaled, it's going to get crushed against this and held firmly in place until it dies. Got a little Y stick. On this Y stick, I just shaved a little 90 in there, little 90. This is the spike itself. This also has the little Lincoln log notch out of it. It will be placed with this one and then lashed on. This can be smaller diameter, preferably, but it still needs to be strong enough to sink into an animal and not snap off or break. So it has to be a fine little medium between thickness and strength. And then I have a this is my trigger. It's going to fall down out of place. This is going to be attached to that Y section and to the impeller itself. You're also going to need a little bit of paracord. I did use paracord just because of the strength that I need for the windlass. And then just a little bit of my normal cotton, white cotton cordage there. And then you're going to have to pound in these big stakes. And that's going to take a lot of force. And it's going to need some weight behind it, something to hit it with. You could use something like this little knocker I got here, this little club. But since I'm at home, in my backyard, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to use my little mini sledge. Figured I'd say that before any comments come in. So I'll get started. The big thing is with these stakes, you're gonna wanna hit them in a good probably close to a foot to the ground, so they're firmly set. I guess I should tell you what a windlass is it's going to have side pressure, and that's why you want it to be a nicer diameter, and you want it deep. That way it doesn't give into the dirt too much from the side pressure. So basically a windlass is kinetic energy, kind of like a spring, principle of a spring, but a little different. But it's going to be rope with something stuck in here, and it's wound up. And as you wind it up, the kinetic energy increases, but it wants to go in a reverse direction, so it's going to want to come the other way. That's basically what a windlass is. I'll go ahead and get started here. Now you're going to want to use your spacer, nice thick spacer. I'll tell you how far to take the other one. Okay, this can come in or out, but you're going to definitely want it. If you don't, it's just going to fold in on itself, collapse right through that dirt. So you put that spacer in there, right at ground level. And now, not only as I spin this, am I going to get tension, you're also going to get a little spring action back from these because of that spacer. Okay. I'm just going to make a little noose on here. Wrap it around a few times. Male lady's going by, so the dogs are letting her know this is their territory. Okay. I'm going to want this close to the ground as possible, but I don't want to hit that spacer bar. So I want to be a little bit above the spacer bar. Because this stick has to go above that bar, and it'll be allowed to come down just a little bit. So that means I gotta bring the rope up a little bit. That's perfect. Okay, I'll give you just a quick show of what it is. It's going to come in here, spin it backwards, and as you set this trigger, if you set this trap off maybe 10 times, you're going to have to reset your side sticks. They're going to lose their... Okay, that's good enough. Basically, that's the action that you got. Okay, a quick little thought of mine on spikes. If you grab a wet spike, you're going to want to dry that out, maybe make it a little harder. But also on diameter, a lot of people put this larger diameter spike on there, and you know, you could trim this down a little more to put a finer point on it, but still it's going to have to push into the animal even harder just to get out into that larger diameter. So a smaller one that won't break is actually you know, better for the job. Now I know people are going to say, well, it weighs more, so when it comes around it's going to have more force. That is true if you were scaling this up for, like, let's say a larger animal, and you're dealing with very large pieces of wood. Yeah, the weight might have something to do, but on this scale, the weight really doesn't have much to do with the kinetic impact you're going to have on your deals, mostly the windlass. Okay. One last thing on this. This was wet, as you can see, so I dried it in a fire. It was a little more burnt, kind of scraped it off a little bit. The tip always catches on fire because it's so small of an area that the flame just heats up that area and lights it on fire. So no matter what, you're always going to have to trim that off a little bit, your tip, or it's going to be soft. Also, and the harder, the better it goes through punctures. But the biggest thing to remember when you're drying this in a fire is you're not trying to burn it. That deteriorates the cells, you know what I mean, in your wood. That's not what you want. It makes it softer, actually. What you want to do is dehydrate it. And when you dehydrate it, it shrinks everything, and everything just goes tighter and tighter and constricts. That's what you want. Okay, just a little thought. I'll stop rambling there. Leave a tail on my noose to tie off on after I've wrapped. Just wrap it right through. Kind of give it a couple twists on both sides. Push it back down where you want it. Tighten it up. Kind of back off my ends here. got your tail there. Just a couple overhand lats is all I put in there. That broke pretty easy. Okay, there we have it. Now to place this in here. Set it up about right here. That means the stick needs to be about right there. The thing is if you have your stick there, it's going to hit as it comes around. As it comes around, it's going to hit. So you're going to move it askew just a little bit. The trigger will be at an angle. Nice and close to the ground. Okay, that'll work. It's going to be a very hair trigger. One last thing. Once you've wound this up, and this is optional, you don't have to put this on here, but as it comes around, it hits with such force that it will knock the animal through, and it loses a lot of energy. A lot of kinetic energy is being lost if it's getting pushed through. So if you put a backstop in here, and it doesn't allow it to go, it's going to just be a crushing power. So, nice easy thing is, the only thing is this is in your way, it's winding it at the low depth that I want it. So what you're going to have to do now is you're going to have to wind it. That means every time you reset it, you got to remove that stick. So I'm going to do it like this. So I'll go ahead and turn this back around. Set it there. Make my loop to tie my knot. Instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a small loop in place. So I can just pull this free and take it off. I don't know if you can see it from here, but I'll do one overhand. Get it nice and tight where I want it. take a look. Here's your windlass. There's all your stored energy from this engine. Here's your spike. Got your cross member. And then your trigger stick. Just goes right across the bottom of these. And it's actually attached to the spike pole itself. There's no extra steps of adding tripwires and ropes and stuff like that. It's just you step on that and it comes around and gets you. Okay, I'm gonna put this up here.